Hi, and welcome to the How to Survive Healthcare podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Thompson-Riviere, seasoned critical care RN turned independent patient advocate. Tune in every week so that you can learn the things about the U.S. healthcare system that no one ever tells you. That way that you can get the most from it and optimize your health outcomes. Now, of course, this podcast is strictly to inform and entertain and should never be taken as a substitute for medical advice. Let's dive right in. Hello. All right, so I wanted to talk to you today about how to get your doc to listen. Of course, this isn't just for doctors. This is also for physician assistant, nurse practitioner, any kind of provider that you're seeing. So you may think, okay, I showed up to my doctor's appointment. Now what do I need to do? But we actually need to take a step back first. Just like everything in life, you know what they say, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. There's actually preparation that should go into an appointment in order to lay the groundwork to achieve the success of what you're looking for. So step one is set a goal for the appointment. Why are you making this appointment with this doc? Pick just one thing. If you try to snowball 5 or 6 problems into one appointment, you run the risk of really none of them getting addressed because unfortunately, it's just you're not going to have enough time to give all of those things the attention that they need. So they will require multiple appointments. So when you're going in for an appointment, make sure you know what is the one goal or outcome that you're trying to achieve for this appointment. But prior to the appointment, you want to educate yourself about some of the possibilities, but without going too far down the rabbit hole. So what do I mean by that? You should take your symptoms, whatever is prompting this appointment, and carefully get online and start searching for some possibilities. Now, this is not because I want you to diagnose yourself. Absolutely not. However, when you go in to speak with the provider, they're going to start to throw out some possibilities of what this may be. If you have already educated yourself about those possibilities, then you will be able to participate in better conversation around which one of those really fits the best and get a little further in that first appointment. On that note, with the symptoms that you're having, I want you to journal them down. Data. The more real you can make your condition, the more real that your provider is going to be able to take it seriously. So if it's something you can get readings on, like blood pressure readings or glucose readings, if those are concerns. If there's something you can take photos of, are you having swelling, redness, rashes intermittently, anything that can be physically seen from the outside. You also want to journal your symptoms, even if they are a little bit less concrete and a little bit more just feelings based. But journal them in when are they happening, with dates and times and the severity. I also want you to document how it's impacting your quality of life or affecting your day-to-day activities. Is this keeping you from engaging in physical activity? Is it keeping you from working? Is it keeping you from sexual activity? How is this impacting your everyday life? Kind of a trigger for your symptoms, make sure you have that documented as well. The more that you can hand over to your provider, the more you're going to give them to work with. It also makes your condition just seem more real to them, and it also shows that you're quite invested in your health. Unfortunately, I have seen, just from being a clinician at the bedside, that a lot of patients come in and they have some kind of vague complaints, but they haven't put in the effort to this kind of preparation to be able to explain it in a way that we can effectively help. And it makes it very frustrating on the provider side, because ultimately I do believe every healthcare professional gets into the profession because they want to help people. But it's one of those things where you have to help your providers help you. So this is where we're actually ideally should all be functioning as a team together. So give them all the information that you can so that they have data to make decisions off of. Now, on the way, when you're preparing for actually going to that appointment, there's two things I absolutely want you to bring with you. And that's going to be a notepad or some other way of taking notes, and a partner, whether that be a family member, trusted friend, or a professional advocate. You always want to have a second set of ears with you. Two heads are better than one. They'll be able to help hear things, but also they can help to advocate on your behalf. I have found, even for myself personally, when you're the one who is sick or injured or unwell in whatever way, it's difficult. Number one, you're not feeling well, so it's difficult to focus and remember on all of the questions that you have or the thoughts that you had. And it's also a lot more difficult. You're kind of in a vulnerable state by being ill. So it is more difficult to stand up for yourself and effectively advocate for yourself. Now, be careful with who you choose to bring, because if it is somebody who, is really close to you, they may be experiencing that same kind of emotional difficulty. So it's always best, if you can, to bring a professional advocate who, number one, is experience in dealing with these sort of situations, but number two is going to be able to maintain that rational composure and to keep things on track for you, particularly if this is something that has been very distressing for you and caused a huge interruption in your day-to-day life. So when you get to the appointment, there's a few things when you're interacting with your providers. Number one, always remain calm and respectful. I know that can be difficult, especially, again, if this is something that has been very draining on your life, or something that's been going on for a long time. But I will tell you, again, from being on the healthcare, on the provider side, the moment that you start to be disrespectful in any way, unfortunately, that care team is going to write you off. Doctors in particular, have spent a lot of time going to school and then through residency, a lot of time in their education to be a medical physician for you. And there's a level of respect that, should go along with that. And they can be quite sensitive if it's not there, more so than maybe some other professions can be. So always, if you want to be heard, the idea that if you want to get respect, you have to give it. And this is definitely a situation where that holds true. On the other side of that, don't let that feel like you can't be assertive. You absolutely can, and you should. It is imperative that you advocate for yourself. So polite but assertive is what we're going for here. So when you are talking to your provider about these things, again, focus on that data, these symptoms that you have been able to make now very real for them. And then ask some general open-ended questions, like what could be causing these symptoms? Once they start to give you some ideas, then this is where your homework is going to come in. And you're going to, you don't want to go in and say, hey, I was on Google and I think that it's blah, blah, blah. Because you don't want to come off as being a know-it-all. However, the provider is going to throw out a few options, and it would be helpful then if you could say something like, I've noticed these symptoms might be related to this condition. Can we check for that? Or I've read about this condition or treatment. Do you think it could be relevant for me? So in wording things in this way, you're able to show that you have educated yourself about some possibilities, but without it coming off as being a know-it-all, or that you don't want it to be interpreted as if you feel like you know more than the physician. I don't think anybody actually feels that way about themselves, but unfortunately that's something that if this isn't worded properly, it can come off of that way to the docs. And then again, that's where you're going to get that kind of breakdown in communication and teamwork that we really want to avoid. When they are discussing things, do not hesitate to ask for clarification. It is very common for especially physicians to use big words or the medical jargon that they're used to. And I don't think that they're intentionally, well, usually they're not intentionally trying to talk over your head. It's just, they spend so much time immersed in that world. Sometimes you forget that lay people don't know all of the lingo. So always do not hesitate to, hey, hold on, I'm not sure what you mean there. Or can you explain that in more detail? Or can you put that in simpler words? And don't feel bad about that. Always make sure that you have a plan for follow-up. And is that follow-up going to be after some tests are done, or is it going to be after a certain amount of time or after a certain intervention? What is the plan for follow-up here, and what's your expectation? Do they expect things to stabilize during that time frame, or should we be seeing improvement? If we're expecting improvement, in what kind of time frame? 1 week, 2 weeks, a month? And that can kind of help guide when that follow-up should be. And so if you're responding in the appropriate way to this treatment. Lastly, I just want you to remember that at the end of the day, your provider ultimately works for you. This is what I like to refer to as a hire fire position. So a lot of times in healthcare, unfortunately, patients can kind of feel like they are in the backseat of their own healthcare experience, and everybody is just kind of telling them what to do, who to see, and it is the way that it is. But that's not actually true. If you have a provider that you feel you've gone through this way, you're using appropriate phrases, that you're being respectful, and that you've presented good, clear, concise information, and if you're still not getting heard by that provider, it's time to move on. I want to give you the permission to fire that doctor and find another one, because ultimately, if that provider doesn't seem like they're invested in your well-being, or doesn't seem like they care, they probably don't. And you're not going to get better under the care of somebody who doesn't care. So if that's the way you feel, trust that gut instinct and feel free to get that second opinion. That can be a whole difficult bridge to cross as well. If you're having trouble with that, please reach out. Again, that's one of the many, many things that advocates are here for. We really wear a lot of hats in solving the problems that healthcare has created. But know that it is okay to switch doctors. And unfortunately, sometimes that's what you have to do to finally get somebody to listen. But getting your doctor to listen, that is what we are here for at Heard for Life. That's actually why I named the business with the acronym HEARD, because really that's a huge challenge in healthcare, is you want to be heard, and there can be a lot of barriers to that. So if this is just something you're struggling with, or if you're looking for somebody to go to your appointments with you, don't hesitate to reach out. Okay, we're at Heard for Life, HEARDFORLIFE.com. You can find more information there, and we'd love to help you. I hope this information helps you be a bit more prepared for your next appointment. And let me know if this is helpful for you, or what other kind of content you'd like to see. I'm here for you guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.